day 29 in the triple murder trial of Chad Daybell. John Pryor calling another expert witness to the stand for defense.
Linda Larson is our reporter on the scene. She's been tracking this trial from the very beginning, and you can find all of our coverage online at localnews8.com. It's kind of a strange day because we're waiting on the next step as the defense has rested.
Yep, the defense.
Monday is a holiday. And Linda joins us live right now with someone who is very close to this case. Linda?
Yeah, that's right. How's it going, Jeff and Kaylee? I am standing by live right now with Larry Woodcock. And as you know, he has been here every day of the trial. We now have the defense has rested. Chad Daybell saying that he would not testify. First of all, your feelings about that?
I wished he had testified. He's the one that stated that he could prove through his testimony that, he had nothing to do with this. And, I understand that every man has the right to not testify against himself, but, he said it, not us. So if you're going to be a man, stand up and do it.
If you could ask him any question and have him answer you honestly, what would that question be?
Why? And I'll never get an answer. There's no way he won't answer that. And I guess the other question is, for what? What do you get out of murdering 2 children? What do you get of being involved on the phone with Laurie while Charles was being murdered? How can you give a patriarchal blessing to Alex when you know you're fixing to kill him? Regardless of what the autopsy says, he was murdered. And I believe that. And I believe that it's all tied to the blessing that Chad's gave him. That he had absolutely no right in the church to give that. That was self-proclaimed. And I think it's an embarrassment to the church, to his religion. I think it's all an embarrassment to the church. And I think that he's made some really dumb mistakes.
Yeah, okay, so now, as you're talking about some of the mistakes he's made, things like that, you got to listen in on all of the testimony. You listened to what the defense said. Mm-hmm. How do you feel their case is? Is it stronger or weaker now after the witnesses that they brought in?
I think, let me restart. Thank you for that question. I believe that the testimony of the defense that they brought in actually supported the prosecution's case more than it did a defense. And if you stop and think about it, every time that Chad tried to bring up an element that disproved anything the defense, that the prosecution proved or said or read or showed, it actually reinforced the prosecution in the end.
So the case is starting to wind down here, but you and I have talked several times, and you mentioned this is really only halfway over for you and your family.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Thank you. We have 2 more cases to go. We hadn't finished this one yet, so I say we're at 1.8, 1.9. And then when this is over, the verdict is given out, and then the sentencing phase back in St. Anthony is brought in, and we have a verdict, and we have a penalty for what was happened. Then as far as myself, my wife, Kay, and our family, we're half done.
Do you want him to have to face the death penalty?
No, I don't. I did, and I was very adamant about that. I wanted him to die the way that JJ died, the way that Tylee died, and now the way that Tammy died. I wanted him to die. I've had to do a lot of soul searching. I'm getting older, and I think at this point there's things that life presents to us that it's easier to die than it is to stay alive and have to live with what you've done. And I truly feel that once the verdict is read, and if he is guilty and he goes to prison, I think every minute of his day he's going to have to be cautious. He's going to have to look over his back. And I can tell you right now, I'd hate to know that I had to do that for the rest of my life.
Larry, again, thank you so much. You have always been so gracious in granting us interviews and talking to us. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. This has got to be such a hard thing.
It is.
And we look forward to talking to you every time that we can. Thanks
No
again
problem.
for talking to us.
Thank you, baby. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Y'all are amazing.
Thank you. All right, so again, some very heartfelt words from Larry as he goes through this next part of what's happening in this trial. We are expecting the closing arguments to be heard after rebuttal witnesses next week, closing arguments toward the end of next week, and then, of course, it goes to the jury for their decision. Jeff and Kaylee, back to you.
Our love to Kay Woodcock as well. Thank you, Linda. As always, we are streaming the trial live each day on localnews8.com and our mobile app. You can go back and watch all of this and see all the reports that we've filed on this case, and you've been there too.
That's right.
At the Madison County Courthouse. Been a long road, but more next week.